Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. My name is Arlen Robinson, and I am your host. And today we have a very special guest, Aleksandra Korczynska, who is the CMO at GetResponse, which is a powerful and simplified tool to send emails, create pages, and automate your marketing. Alexsandra is a data-driven marketer with vast experience in the tech industry and has mostly been focused on SaaS and e-commerce companies. Welcome to the podcast, Alexsandra.
Hey, it's great to be here with you today.
Yes, thank you for joining me. And I'm super excited to talk to you today because our topic of the day is going to be how to really increase the ROI of your marketing campaigns without actually increasing the budget. And so this is going to be through marketing automation, which I know is your bread and butter. And it's really a hot topic because everyone wants to improve that ROI, but it's a fine line between improving the ROI without actually increasing the budget. So I know you're going to, enlighten us on that. But before we do get into all of that, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background and, specifically how you got into what you're doing today?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I've been generally in the tech industry for the last 12 years or so. So always super actually interested in the tech, specifically in the startup industry. That's why actually my first professional experience was with startups actually, and with some Kickstarter campaigns, IoT products there. So I quickly actually also became CMO at this startup producing smart sleep mask, and we are running pretty much successful Kickstarter campaign. So it was all about growth and marketing from the very beginning. Also when it comes to my background, I have education much more in the data science and IT project management. So I was always much into data, and then it kind of turned out that I can connect my creativity with data in marketing, specifically in the tech industry. So then from startups, I went from startup where we were seeking funds, investment, delivering products to the Kickstarter bakers, and it was a really great time. Actually, I learned a lot during that time. But obviously, once you are working in a startup, you're usually short in budget. So I went to Uber, where I was basically one of the first hire for Uber Eats in Europe. So my job was basically to scale Uber Eats in Europe, specifically in the Central Eastern Europe, but also hiring people across all of the Europe, and experimenting with pricing. And that was really fun time at Uber, because Uber still was, Uber Eats still was kind of a startup within Uber. So there's all about the go-to-market strategy, repeating it, scaling frameworks, testing various tactics. And Uber Eats is super close to e-commerce. It's a marketplace, but all we do is about frequency, new customers acquisition is also, and it's about making sure that, average order value goes up, making sure that the retention is there. Mm-hmm. So that was really great actually time. And I was also responsible for the automation workflows, making sure that, we're going to increase the frequency, we're going to increase retention of our users. Mm-hmm. Through that, actually, I was always super interested in the MarTech in general, right? In marketing automation software. And what's better for a marketer than just actually to build a software for yourself. And this actually brought me to GetResponse, that is offering and building marketing automation platform for SMEs. And here I am actually right now managing the whole global marketing and growth for GetResponse. And that's what also excites me a lot, is being super close to the product and building a product for marketers as I am.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's quite a story you have. You've been definitely involved with a lot of kind of key players here. Of course, Uber Eats, Europe, that's huge. Kind of in deep with their marketing efforts there, and I know that was probably really exciting to be kind of at the ground floor of taking that to Europe. I'm sure, and I'm sure Uber Eats at this point is like huge. I can imagine.
Yeah. And these are like kind of like different times, right? Like once Uber still like wasn't on the like a publicly listed company, right? It was like, like 5 years ago or something like this. So that's like rule that was also great because Uber basically had this strategy just to like first let's launch it, let's scale it, and then let's get bothered about some legal stuff and about some market restrictions. So and Europe is heavily regulated, right? So that and every single country differs a lot from each other. So but that was really great actually, like like to have this to learn and also to live this like pure growth mentality, and that's something that I'm also trying to push right now, like at GetResponse, like this very strong ownership and this growth mentality that I've also get from Uber.
Gotcha. That sounds great. Well, of course, with GetResponse and being a marketing automation platform, what you're doing there is really going to definitely bring value to what we're going to be talking about today. As I mentioned, leveraging, trying to pull out the majority of return on investment for different marketing campaigns. And I know that's kind of a key thing you're working on. So really what I want to start off with is, these days, why is marketing automation essential for the growth of an e-commerce business?
Yeah. So like usually once I'm talking with many like e-commerce owners and marketing managers, all of the marketers start talking about user acquisition, right? So we are talking about campaigns like ads, spending money on ads, and usually the first thing that comes to the founder or CEO's mind is just to let's launch some ads like on Facebook and social and paid search, depending actually what is their industry, on LinkedIn, and then actually let's start acquiring some users. And marketing automation is actually like kind of fighting like with that in some sense, because all marketing automation is all about like increasing your revenue, increasing your numbers, but actually through increasing the conversion. So it means that you can have the same number of users visiting your website, or like the same number of customers starting the checkout process, but basically then you can just improve it like by 1% and then get like incremental revenue, right? So that's I think like pure efficiency, and that's something that every single like CEO, founder, marketing manager should take care of the most of, is like the bottom of the funnel, right? So what is happening like at the bottom of the funnel? How is the frequency looking like? How is the retention looking like? How is the whether the users are abandoning the carts or not? And what do we know when it comes to, let's say, e-commerce, is that about 69% of users, they leave the cart, like generally. And then once we're going to have a look on the mobile, it's like 86% of users actually left their carts on mobile last year, according to the Baymart study in the United States. So it means that you are losing actually majority of people who you have acquired, and you are usually not caring so much about it, right? So marketing automation is all about like recovering these carts, like making the users to come back, reminding them about like your existence in a smart way, in a very personalized way, and that eventually bring you just incremental revenue, incremental sales without spending more. So that's what I would say about marketing automation in brief.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's really key what you mentioned, because a lot of businesses, the focus is always really to drive more people, drive more traffic, potential customers to the site. But with marketing automation, like you said, you're dealing with the pool of customers that you already have, the pool of visitors that you're already getting, and you're automating your efforts with them, whether it's abandoned cart campaigns, whether it's newsletter campaigns, and putting people in certain funnels. So you kind of already have this pool of people, this pool of potential customers that are visiting your sites, on a monthly basis, and it's just taking advantage of that pool. So when you're doing that, it's like you have the pie is already there for you to eat. You just gotta you gotta take advantage of it and dive in.
Yeah, but even actually, if you don't have any traffic, like as for now, right? Even if you're just starting out, you don't have any customers, I would still say that you need to make sure that your actually funnel doesn't have any holes before you're gonna start acquiring some users and boosting traffic to your website, right?
Yeah.
Because if you actually like want to take care of that, like if you want to actually have configured the remarketing campaigns, then actually it doesn't make sense to start the prospecting campaigns, because that will be just a huge inefficiency for you. So the cost per user acquisition, let's say, will be like twice as high as it could be, right? So even that's something I would definitely recommend to all of your like listeners, even if they're like starting out, like still let's make sure that you have like some basic like flow setup, such as remarketing, such as some abandoned carts automations, etc., so that once you're gonna get the traffic, they won't actually leak through the funnels.
Yeah, very, very true, very true. You mentioned, we kind of tossed around a few different tactics, of course, of increasing the ROI. Abandoned cart is a huge one. What are some other tactics that can help a business increase their ROI without really, spending marketing dollars on driving more people to the site?
Yeah. So recovering abandoned carts is like one very generic, actually, like kind of word, and like here basically like what it means, right? So you should be like thinking about recovering abandoned carts, even if they're like on the website. So still like all the good like exit intent pop-ups, actually they are working very well. Like this is also the way to generate the subscriber, to generate actually the lead, even if they're actually not buying anything. Then a way to recover abandoned carts or remarketing ads. So what also here we know is that basically for display ads, and once we are talking about like display ads, let's say on some social, but not only, then usually the click-through rate for display ads, for remarketing ads, is like 10 times higher than for a standard just a standard prospecting ad that you're launching. And obviously, like the first thing for the recovering abandoned carts is an automated triggered email series. So here, actually, you should be thinking about like leveraging email marketing, and email marketing still is like a super effective channel to retain your users, to reactivate them, to warm them up. And here, actually, like once you're thinking about marketing automation, you should be thinking about mixing various channels together, right? So you can mix, some remarketing ads, you can mix them with emails, just to get this full consistency of the messaging that you are trying to tell. And obviously, then with with the messaging, I also mean whether you are using some discount codes or not, just to make sure that you are targeting the right segment in the right time through the right channel. And that marketing automation basically allows you to get that efficiency. So allows you to set up a flow that is mixing various channels, emails, like ads and pop-ups, let's say. So that's one of the tactics related with abandoned carts, for example. But there are so many more, like with making sure that you are first educating your customers and then selling, then pitching them to them, right? Kind of nurturing them. And also doing things such as working with loyal customers with some gamification programs. So basically, it's like 5 times easier still actually to sell the new product to an old customer rather than to build the trust within a new customer, right? So you should be celebrating customers' birthdays and celebrating like the milestones, and also like retargeting the stale customers through segmentation. So I would say eventually like the segmentation and customer segmentation and then messaging personalization is also the key. And obviously, while you're talking about like segmentation here, I would also like recommend not just like the attributes based segmentation, but the event based segmentation, so that you are actually like segmenting your customers, your users on the website based on their behavior, and then like offering specific discounts, frequency of communications, channels on the basis of the segment. So these are just couple of the like marketing automation basics that are really just making the difference.
True. Yeah, one of the key things that I think you even mentioned that kind of resonates I think timing is the main thing that I think is really important across no matter what you do, because across all of those things, timing is key. From the exit intent, when people leave the site, what's the proper timing on when do you reach out to them? The abandoned cart, how soon do you send them? How often do you follow up? Those types of things. If people engage in any of your let's say, any aspects of your newsletter or information, it's really key that you get the right timing to pull the people back to your site and get them more engaged with what you're doing.
Yeah. And that's something definitely should be also experimenting with, right?
Yeah.
So you should be also experimenting with timing, with the frequency,
Yeah.
with various like customer segments, just to learn. But then like obviously like you need to learn what is working for your business. But for most cases, like there are the standard benchmarks that are working, right? So also like you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just actually like should implement some basic templates that are available in every single marketing automation platform and software, and just implement them to your business. And I'm like promising you they're gonna work, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned platform, because that was kind of where I'm going next. We're in a kind of a different world here. I talked about when I kind of got started in business, which was way back in the year 2000. And this was before all of these SaaS companies were out there that provided all of these email marketing solutions, these marketing automations. When I started things up, none of that existed. If you needed some type of automated functionality via marketing, you had to have it customized by some web developers. There may have been a few up and coming tools out there that you could pay for, maybe get them installed on a server, but the SaaS was really kind of non-existent at that time. But today it's a different story. There are a ton of marketing automation solutions. And so when somebody is looking to kind of dive deep and really, go all in with marketing automations, what are some specific tools that you could recommend for people that have success, and what are the key features?
Yeah, it depends a lot on the industry, right? Because like every single platform has that GetResponse also like specializes in specific like industry. But
Sure.
obviously, like I would like recommend starting with like GetResponse specifically if you require some like support, if you require some educational materials, if you like really would like to get some templates and would like to have like this easy to use platform, marketing automation platform, like then GetResponse is a really good choice, right? Because there are also some like super heavily enterprise driven softwares, and like that's basically like allow you to do like everything, but like they don't give you any like huge support. So or like they're not localized. And at GetResponse we do know that specifically for people from all over the world, like from Spain, Italy, etc., it's really important that they do not only have the platform itself, because the platforms are like similar, right? They do have like email marketing, they have pop-ups, they have marketing automation, product recommendations, events, etc. But then like what is like distinguishing it are some integrations. So that is like the first thing, whether you're a B2B, whether you are like e-commerce, you need to make sure that this product like has it. Like for example, GetResponse, we are heavily focused on e-commerces, making sure that this integration with Shopify and other e-commerce stores is really seamless. But there are also some like marketing automation platforms like HubSpot that basically is more of a CRM. So if you're a B2B company, then I would rather actually go to HubSpot specifically if you need CRM, right? Because but if you're like e-commerce, or if you like like B2C, or like B2B without this like huge and you have like another e-commerce another CRM than HubSpot, then definitely GetResponse would be a good choice. That's just to like highlight few things here. So then like the key aspects are like how much support do you need, and this is a huge differentiator, right? So at GetResponse, for example, we do offer like the support in like 8 different languages, 24 hours per like every single day in the week. And that's something that I know like that the customers are appreciating a lot, specifically if you are running your e-commerce store, like, with just 5 people they're hired, and you basically don't have like enough time just to really like spend, tons of time on building something. You can just leverage, the support and some templates and have it all running. So that's something that people are definitely leveraging there. But one more thing that I would say, because within the marketing automation software, you do have this email marketing automation, like landing pages, A/B testings, segmentation, product recommendations, pop-ups, etc. But what is crucial also is to make sure that you get your store configured and website configured that way that you are able to run some behavior analysis, so that you are measuring some events. And here you can like obviously you can just have the JavaScript like put into your website, but once you're a bigger company, bigger like, e-commerce company, then definitely leveraging such tools such as Segment or, at least Google Tag Manager is crucial if you have like tons of events and if you just, want to connect them to various software. So this events management right now, and it's really crucial for every single software that you are using, as marketing became much more behavioral, basically, right? The tracking, despite some, like actions to introduce the cookie-less world, tracking like still is a big thing, and it's gonna be like a big thing in the real-time personalization.
Yeah, really, for sure. One thing, that kind of some key things that I see, just being, co-founder of a SaaS company, one of the big things that we were consistently seeing kind of as demands from customers is integrations. It's really huge these days, because we have all of these other solutions that really have to really talk together, nicely, because if not, then it can be really a pain for the customers to try to get, data, let's say, from one tool to the next, and to be able to effectively manage that. And so I'm starting to see that being some of the first questions that we're getting. And I'm sure you're seeing the same thing, is what are the integrations that you have? Do you guys work well with Shopify? Do you work well with this solution, these other solutions, Tag Manager? All of that is really important.
Yeah, I agree. Because right now, like, all of the like MarTech SaaS solutions are like much more specialized. So it means that you need to actually specialize into being like, really good with when it comes to integration with Shopify, with Shopware, with WooCommerce, let's say, right? So you're kind of choosing your niche and then, or like with CRMs or like with, Segment, etc. And this is the only way for you to grow. And like, I agree. This is one of the first questions that the customers ask. And that's why we're also heavily focused on integration, integrations in general.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah, I can definitely see that across the board. Well, as we get ready to wrap things up, I wanted to see if you could maybe highlight some examples of some businesses that you've either worked with or you're just familiar with in general that have successfully increased their ROI, of their marketing campaigns, and then what specifically did they do to achieve that?
Yeah, sure. So there's actually one of my favorite examples is like from 1 year ago, basically, and this is like one of our customers, and really interesting one. So their name is Lunch Cafe, and basically like they are an online store that that was created out of the love of travel and coffee. And basically, they're like offering some very high-end quality like coffee beans, right? So rather like a small like store, like family like business here, but growing pretty fast and specialized in like delivering coffee beans, that I think specifically during the COVID time became a big thing, right? Because everyone started ordering and getting some subscriptions for coffee, and like that became like much bigger thing. And basically what they did, they increased the sales like by 54%, thanks to an educational campaign. And so basically what they did, like they were actually acquiring like some leads for the website, but instead of like pushing all of the customers to present their products, introduce their products, they basically created this like marketing automation email series that was like made up with about like 6 or like 8 educational emails. It basically showed like, where the Lunch Cafe coffee comes from, right? Like why you should choose their coffee, what are the characteristics, what is the story behind them. And there were like, 6 or 8 different emails. And basically the goal of this was to kind of like sell you the story and showcase that they are really actually into this topic, right? So showcase them as an expert, build this brand authority. And then, after like being really engaged into like, the whole comms, they actually, like close the whole series with just a standard, like no discount, just a standard actually like product presentation. And that was actually huge actually success for them. Specifically, I think the fact that they didn't actually use any discount. They actually, and their prices were kind of pricey. So they kind of use this education just to get much better ROI of their campaigns and much better margins. Because like businesses are all about the margins
Mm-hmm.
and like, the net revenue rather than just, the total revenue. And that's something that businesses also very often forget about with adding, one more extra discount, right?
Mm-hmm.
That basically giving discount for e-commerces, it means like losing the margins that you probably could have.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, that's a great strategy because, I've had countless people on the podcast that have reiterated the same thing, which is stories sell. It's not the facts and figures about your product. It's the company story. A lot of times that's the first thing people want to see is, what's the story behind the product? Why are you unique from, the next product? And if it sounds like they did a great job of kind of curating that story over a series of emails so people can kind of see where they are, how they got to where they are today, and how do they get to that end product that comes as the coffee beans and the high quality product there. So makes a lot of sense.
And then basically you can sell specifically this is like heavily about the product. You build your you build the trust among customers. You build your like authority, so that you are not, that they know that you are not, that you are knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. That it's not just some kind of a random product. Yeah. You can also get much better orders values, right? So you can get much better margins, and you can also charge extra because you're kind of building people's expectations and they're able to pay more. So that's also really important right now, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that really kind of adds to the whole social proof of a brand by adding all of that authority and getting customers to understand you're the real deal. You know what you're talking about. There was time spent in the creation of the product. So exactly. It's a great example.
But then also what was actually super important is that they were basically they were making sure that they are pushing the products only to the people who actually were fully nurtured, right? So that's also a smart move just to make sure, okay, if you really actually went through the whole series, you are nurtured enough, you are warm enough, you are educated enough, you are ready to buy. Yeah. So it's not we are trying to push the products to everyone to just we get such a big list. They kind of choose quality of the list versus quantity. And I think that's a really brave in many aspects, but that's something that basically in the work pretty well for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just kind of nurturing those people that have already are kind of already primed or really more serious than just kind of blasting out the same campaign to just everyone. So I understand. That makes a lot of sense. Well, Alexsandra, it's been awesome talking to you. I've definitely learned a lot with regards to increasing your ROI and marketing automation. There's really a ton more we could talk about, but I think what you've added is definitely a great start for any business that's looking to improve their ROI via marketing automation. But lastly, before we do let you go, I always like to switch gears here just so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. So if you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think we'd be interested to know.
Oh, they're that's a tricky question, I think so, but I think I've got some stories as everyone does from the university times. But one of my favorite one is that as a student, basically together with some of my friends, I was playing guitar in one of the Polish cities, Old Town, in order to raise some money for a return train ticket. So that was really, really fun. And and then we were so excited actually with the fact that raise some money and it was bringing us so fun that we even actually had another incident later on that we decided to sing and to play some guitars in a subway in Warsaw. So that's actually capital city in Poland. So that's actually quite fun, great and exciting time once you weren't bothered with what people are gonna think about you or you are just doing it and you get fun. So
that's cool.
So that's one of the stories, a little bit more related to my music education also, but that's quite fun.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. That's some good stuff. Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of guts to just go out there to some public area and then just start playing. You definitely got to have a lot of confidence to do that and to just be confident in yourself to just get out there and then play your music. So awesome stuff. And thank you for sharing.
Yeah. That was great time. And also again, the fact that, people eventually actually started joining us with some songs, etc. So it was really, really fun.
Okay, cool. That's some cool stuff. Well, thank you for sharing that, Aleksandra. And lastly, before we do let you go, if any of our listeners want to reach out to you and pick your brain any more about marketing automation or, improving their ROI, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I think LinkedIn, actually, I'm pretty much active and super active on LinkedIn. I'm also replying to all of the messages, unless they're super spammy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not replying to really spammy long SDR emails, but if it's actually short and kind of personalized, let's say, message, then definitely I will reach back to you via LinkedIn.
Okay, great. That sounds awesome. I'll definitely encourage for everyone to look you up on LinkedIn and then connect with you that way. Well, thank you, Aleksandra, for joining us. We really appreciate having you on today of the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
Cool. That was a great pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level, but are tired of weeding through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.